Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Safari Mack Returns to Africa. I'm Safari Mack, your guide and host, helping you make connections to the wild. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are still in the African Congo, but today we are in the northeastern region called the Ituri Forest. We're here for generations, at least until 125 years ago, discovered by the outside world, lives a mammal that has been shy and very reclusive by nature. The Okapi, or known by the Latin name of Okapia johnstoni. So we're going to go ahead and get started and look into the lives of this forest giraffe. But before we begin, if you're new to my channel, hit that like and subscribe button, check out my Facebook page for content on conservation, and if you have a question or if there's an animal request that you have for the future, all you gotta do is send me an email, which you will find the link to down in my description below. But if you're ready, let's get started. Now, their evolution is fairly interesting. They were said to have originated from these ancient deer-like climoceratids, which actually eventually grew into a genus that originated from Africa 16 million years ago called Canthumyrix. It's kind of hard to say. But what made these animals special is that, unlike other deer-like animals, they began to grow taller. They got a little bit bigger. And eventually, along with the Okapi, they would form one of their closest living cousins, the giraffe. Now, as you can kind of see by these ancient creatures, they're similar to the Okapi, but they are not really quite the same. As you can also see, they got a little bit bigger and developed these antler-like structures, but we don't see any of that today. They are all extinct. And this was not due to human hunting or anything by that. They were extinct long before the ancient humans originally showed up. But now, for the longest time, in the Ituri Forest region, the people that lived there, the tribes, knew about these animals and hunted them regularly. But it wasn't until 1901 by Sir Harry Johnston that he officially identified the animal and showed the outside world, hey, these creatures actually exist. Now, I know it's probably hard to believe that that the Okapi, were what we would like to call the living fossil, might be related to the giraffe, but you'll see some similarities along the way. Now, as you can guess, the Okapi lives in the rainforest district. It's pretty hard to study these creatures or any animal that lives in the rainforest because of the denseness of their habitat, but also Okapis are very shy by nature. As you can see, they have very large ears, which is great for hearing throughout the entire forest region to keep away from predators, such as leopards, which are one of their main predators. But even the tiniest, slightest movement or sound will cause them to take off. And so they really will stay away from human settlements. They try and stay as far away from humans as possible. But now let's talk a little bit about differences. So you see these two things protruding from their head? Those are called ossicones. And the giraffe is also known to have these ossicones. Both males and females do, at least. But for okapis, believe it or not, and I didn't know this, the Okapi male is the only one to have the ossicones, and they don't develop until he would reach at least 1 year of age, while probably still being with his mother. So females don't have them. So you can see male, female. Now generally, males will do anything to keep other males out of their territory, but they will allow females to stay in for a while, as they can bring possibilities for breeding. After a gestation period of 440 to 450 days, a single calf is born that can weigh anywhere from 31 pounds to 66 pounds. Talk about a bit of a heavy baby. But despite being that long inside mom and in the womb, they do actually have a pretty phenomenal growth rate. At just about 3 months, the calf starts to take in solid foods, and by 6 months, they are already weaned from their mothers, and generally they may go off on their own. But that's not to say that they won't stick around with their mom, at least until they're a year old, to learn other special secrets and ways of survival to help aid this calf. But yeah, like I said, females might hang out for a while. Males try to establish a territory. So the Okapi is basically a herbivore, but they will eat as many different kinds of vegetation as possible. Leaves, shoots and buds, barks, twigs, special fruits, ferns, and they are known to, as a way to get their salts and their minerals, they will occasionally eat soil. Now here's another major similarity to the giraffe. Look at that tongue. That's actually long enough to touch their ear, as well as touch their eyes. So that tongue alone is 18 inches long. Can you imagine yourself having an 18-inch long tongue that can actually act like a third hand to grab onto things such as food? Now, because these creatures are somewhat of you could say as a recent discovery, at least by well over 100 years, we're still trying to understand and learn as much as we can about these animals. But now, in zoos, the Okapi has been a major draw and attraction for many people, along with a few other animals that we will eventually meet during our trek here in the jungle. Many zoos, such as the San Diego Zoo and even Brookfield Zoo, have been successful in breeding Okapis in human care. In fact, it's said that Brookfield is actually said to have the highest number of calves. In fact, since 1959, they have had over 28 Okapi calves born. So and as another special human culture impact, in the traditional Congolese leadership, these animals are actually symbols of local authority chiefs and the majestic hidden qualities of jungles. Now, let's talk about some wild things. Did you know that they have a scent gland on their hooves? This stuff looks like mud, but it's actually a kind of tar-like substance that actually can help males as a way of marking their territory. Now, because they have an exceptional smell, an Okapi calf can tell whenever there's another Okapi there just by smelling these scent marks. Now, normally silent, females will only vocalize when they're ready to breed. And calves, as a really special way of helping the calf to survive, they are known to actually not go to the bathroom or defecate for the first 2 months of their life, which can actually help them in aiding from avoiding detection from predators, like I said, such as the leopard. Unfortunately, this special mammal is an endangered species due to poaching for their beautiful skins, the bushmeat trade, and of course loss of habitat. And such as mining, farming, a lot is damaging their habitat. But it gets worse. Poachers have often attacked sanctuaries where these creatures are being kept for safety. In fact, in the past, armed rebels actually have attacked conservation headquarters, not just killing the animals, but they've also killed staff and they've damaged the facility's infrastructure. Which just kind of shows you how far some people are willing to go to kill these animals so that they can profit. Not that it's all their fault, but there are better ways that we can live together. For conservation efforts, there's many things that we have to do. People have donated millions to help save the Okapi and set up ranges, safeguard the biodiversity, helping climate change, and trying to help keep traditions while embracing the modern world. Well, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, that's all the time I have for the Okapi. Join me next week as we look into a famous reptile, the chameleon. But until next time, this is Safari Mack, I'll see you all out there.